Hello and welcome to Lockdown Economy Nepal, a local edition of a social non-profit initiative to help small businesses and self-employed professionals overcome the challenges of the pandemic. In Nepal, it is being done in collaboration with NYEF Kathmandu chapter, a membership-based non-profit organization dedicated to create outstanding entrepreneurs and AlterContacts, a global think tank for sustainable development based in Amsterdam. My name is Suzan Lal Manandar, host of the interview series, and I'd like to welcome everyone who joined us for this session. Today, my guest is Paras Shrestha, who is the co-founder of Sinka. Hello, Paras ji, how are you?
Hello, Susan. Sop Dixon.
Welcome to the interview series, and today we're going to talk about the restaurant industry. And it is one of the most impacted sectors, of course, during the pandemic because, of course, a lot of services were closed down. We'll discuss about what happened with your organization during the pandemic in a while. But let's get started with the introduction of Sinka. So, Parasji, please tell us about your organization.
Uh, so I'm one of the co-founders of Sinka. So I operate a restaurant chain, and the name goes by Sinka. So what we do is we sell varieties of momo dumplings, and we innovate in food, and we are known for fusion in foods. So that's what we have been doing currently, right now.
And where are you located?
Currently, we are located at three locations. Our first location, we started our entrepreneur journey and startup in Kumaripati in Lalitpur. And our second outlet is in Tawamak, and our third outlet is in Baneshwar.
And how long have you been doing this? Oh,
Once again,
so when did you start this organization?
hey, like we will be completing our fourth year anniversary this 5th of Feb. So it will be around like 4 years of Sinka that we have been doing.
Congratulations there on that. I'm really looking forward to that. And now let's get into the lockdown situation because the lockdown in Nepal, it was a very passive time. It was a very strict lockdown. A lot of services were restricted, and in Nepal, going and having meal with your friends and your family is one of the top activities, right? We do, and when the lockdown happened, a lot of services had to be closed down. That meant that you had to close your doors as well. So, what kind of problems did that bring in your organization?
So, first of all, there was like a major global shutdown, and what restaurant is not just about food. It's like people getting together, like people sitting in front of each other, having conversation, having time. So, what happened during lockdown pandemic was there was an era of social distancing. People were staying at homes, and people were having food at their homes, and they were taking ultimate safety precautions and all. So this was like against what restaurant stands for. And so the first and foremost thing what happened was tables were empty, our restaurants were shut down. So what were the first prominent impact that we had to face was declining sales. So we had about like it was about like 65 to 70% decline in sales, which was like a major cut for us, major loss for us. Secondly, uh, that impact in sales, it forced us uh, to reduce our operating costs. So our majority of our operating cost tends to be two things, right? One is rent, and the other is staff. So first of all, let me get to staffing. So what happened was we had to lay off our staff. That was the last thing that I probably wanted to do. So we had ultimately overall as a Sinka, we had 45 staffs. So currently we're operating with like around 20 staffs. So it's like reduction from like 55%. We had to lay off 55% of our staffs. So thirdly, one thing that I would like to say is like more than 90% of restaurants are on rented premise. See, so since our government has not proposed any proper policies and proper decisions, so what we had to face is we were obliged and compelled to pay the rent even though our restaurants were shut down. So these were the prominent three effects that we had to face, I suppose.
And Parji, when you face these problems, what strategies did you adopt to solve them?
So basically, the whole thing is like hooked by one prominent element, and that is sales. So what our target was, I want to give a little background of what happened during the pandemic, a short. So what was happening was no one was providing any service of food. They were only supplying groceries, and people were slowly starting to demand for restaurant food. They were craving for the food. They were like fed up of having food at their homes. So what was happening was there were not enough restaurants and good brands coming out to serve the audience. So what we saw a gap, we saw an opportunity, and what we planned was we should cash in this opportunity. We should just go and serve our food. Like we started with around 6 to 7 staff, including us. So we started providing service. So what ultimately was our goal is to acquire new customers. And what happened was during those times we were not allowed to deliver the food by ourselves because we didn't have the proper passes and all. So we had third delivery app companies, around 3 or 4 of them, just as Food Mandus and Bose Deals and Pathao. So what happened was we acquired a majority of visibility in their marketplace. Just a small data I would like to share is like uh, more than 60,000 of people use Pathao app. So that's like an immense visibility and prospect that we acquired, and we acquired plenty of new customers. So that was one of the major uh, achievement for us. And secondly, what we did was our in order to recover our sales dip. So what we did is like we integrated backward. So what we did was we came up with frozen momos, so which initially increased our revenue and helped us to aid some benefit and just minimize the loss. So that was the true prominent aspect that we did doing.
And that, as you clearly stated earlier, the lockdown in Nepal, it was so passive. There were permits given to organizations, like if they were essential or non-essential, and were you allowed to do delivery or not. And because of these restrictions, were there any strategies that you tried that did not work for you?
I think, like, I would not say that strategies didn't work. What I would like to convey is like the intensity of this strategy was a little low and high, but even the less, every strategy worked to somehow, because at that moment something was better than nothing. That was so crucial, so vulnerable moments. So even every strategies were working. Like we were coming up with new ideas, we were coming up with new plans with our food partners and stuff. So there's no such plan that didn't work. It was just the intensity that mattered.
Great. So now let's talk about your clients, because Sinka is a well-known restaurant chain in Kathmandu Valley, and when you have to close your doors because of the lockdown, did you interact with your clients about what the situation was and how you're planning to go forward?
What was happening during the pandemic was we were getting multiple of calls. We were getting messages in our Facebook page or Instagram page or different social media handles. So people were calling us, and like we were conveying them the messages. And so we were like we didn't put out everything on the plate for the customers, but just a broad perspective of what when we are about to open or what we are currently
Yeah.
doing. Like we were throwing push notifications to our customers so that they know that we are on the service for them. We are providing mobile push notifications so that they order from our restaurant. So we are partnering up. So we did all of these things in order just for the survival of the firm,
Okay.
because that was the thing back then.
Yeah, and now let's talk about the overall industry itself, because there are, of course, other food chains out there. So, what kind of strategy did your competitors take during the lockdown, and how did you act differently from them?
Okay. I would not. I would not like to name them, but what they were doing were everyone, the everyone was online.
Yeah,
Everything was online.
yeah,
Digitization was the thing. Nobody could deliver by themselves. It was just they could only deliver through these third-party delivery apps. So our competitors were also in the marketplace, uh, and we were also in the marketplace. Uh, the only thing that we could segregate from our competitors were the schemes and
Yeah.
uh, the new ideas that we bought in the packages and all. So some were also, so it was eventually it was just a basic, it was same thing.
Yeah.
Some were doing charitable stuff in order to differentiate themselves because it was a moment that help was needed here and there. So
Yeah.
there were some companies, I would like to name some companies such as Dudley. They were feeding the dogs. So it was pretty commendable, because dogs were starving down the roads.
Yeah.
So some were even open during the pandemic, even it was illegal.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff were also going there. To be really true, we were also like operating without the consent of the government, because at the end you have to survive, you have to pay the rent, you have to pay the dues.
Yes.
So that was thing.
Yes, and talking about the present situation, we are pretty much open now. There's still a few restrictions, but the second lockdown was lifted back in September. So, how is your restaurant performing now?
Uh, Currently, like I would like to say, we are recovering,
Okay.
right? We are recovering, and sales are spiking up, right? And we are recruiting new recruits for our company. Since the sales is increasing day by day, so we are hiring new recruits. Uh, I think the number of calls that I get every day from jobless staff is like immense. Like I just got a message right now. He wants to, he says uh, he just wants to pay his school fee that is like 4,000 and his rent that is like 5,000. You can give me like 1,000 and it'll be okay for me. Please take me, like this kind of. There's very desperation in the atmosphere regarding jobs. So I think that would be.
And yes, that is a very dire situation that we are in. We've already this we talk about unemployment, and then this pandemic has really left a dent in that even further. And now, talking about what the future is for Sinka, because the future is very uncertain right now. We have been hearing about a lot of vaccines, but still things are uncertain. This is a new year. People are hoping for better things. So, what is the outlook for Sinka for the next 3 months?
I think the first lesson that COVID taught us, and I think we will be implementing throughout some months and some years, is like we are like pretty much pretty tight on the expense right now. We have control. So what happens is like when you have too much ample amount of resource, we tend to misutilize it.
Yeah.
So what COVID taught us was like the optimal utilization of resource. We were like overstaffing and stuff. So those things we learned on COVID. Second thing that we would like to uh, do is like we would like to recover. Our plan is to recover from the losses that COVID has done to us. Thirdly, we are coming up with the entire set of new fusions and menus in order to attain new customers and to excite our existing customers. And fourthly, what we are planning to do is like we have come up with a franchising model.
Yeah.
So we'll be soon be releasing our franchising model in order to increase our revenue and our brand. So these are the plans that we are coming up with.
That's great. I'm really looking forward to all the things you just mentioned right now. And Paras, this is my final question to you. Um, what are the three things in a business that you need help with?
I think more than three things. I would just like to say a small, simple thing that I would like to sum up to. So I think at this point of time, it's so important for each and every one of us to realize the importance of our local. So all I urge to all the viewers, all the people who listen to this podcast or this interview session, is like please try to be local, support local business as much as possible, support each other as much as possible, even through social media handles or even through purchase of goods or their services. So I think we should support each other and getting local. I think that's the importance, such as inbound tourism. We should travel our own countries. So I think the local support is like very much needed right now, I think. And I urge people to support locally, buy local products, please.
That is very true, Parasji, because this is truly a time to support local organizations, and I think people have had this inclination since the earthquake. People the Made in Nepal. This hashtag has gained so much popularity, and I think this pandemic has also shown the importance of supporting our local businesses so that they can survive at this time. And thank you so much, Parasji, for doing this interview. It was a very fun conversation. Thank you for coming on this interview series and sharing us your insights.
Thank you, Susan, for giving me this opportunity. I would love to do it anytime. And thank you to what you are doing. It's a great aspect and prospect that you are showing what is going on, what people are going through. I think it's wonderful that you are doing, Susan.
Thank you again, Parashji, and thank you to everyone who joined us for this session. If you have any questions for Parashji, you can find his contact in the description, or you can leave a comment in this video. I invite you to like this video, share with your friends, and follow our page, the NYF Kathmandu chapter Facebook page. A recording of this video will be present in the AlterContacts YouTube channel, so please subscribe to our channel. There are playlists of videos where entrepreneurs and small business owners from different parts of the world have shared us their insights. We'll have many more interviews like this in the upcoming weeks. Stay tuned, and goodbye.